Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. One more again, King Sadiq hollering at you. All right. Um. Well, this is definitely be a quick video. I know my past few videos I've been saying this will be quick, and they've extended a little longer than I thought. But no, really, I wanted to touch on for any folks out there who are fans of hip hop and what I call the way it used to be, right? And I'm not trying to say or say anything negative about or discredit the current artists in hip hop right now. I happen to think there's some very talented young folks and who have come out in the past 5-10 years, and yeah, they really have grown in terms of expressing themselves, and that's cool. And their sort of flexibility and style, right? And that's cool. What I'm talking more so is not about the talent level or even the change in style as much as the strangulation on control of content, right? What has happened is the hip hop culture was at a peak, many of us say, in the 80s, right? I remember vividly, of course, being a hip hop artist myself, remember vividly what it was like, right? It was the entire culture. It wasn't just one aspect of the music or another. It was an entire culture that we thrived in, right? And just to give you sort of a real quickly summarized snapshot of what took place. Hey, how you doing? Peace, love, respect. All right. Just to give you a quick snapshot of what took place is hip hop went from in the 70s, really being sort of a quote unquote underground culture that was growing. In the late 70s, you started to have some artists be established, so to speak, in terms of recording deals. And then in the early 80s, you saw the popularity really blow up, right? Because I remember when they kept laughing at us, and I say us because I've been a hip hop artist since I was in the 5th grade. I'm 46, right? But I remember when they used to tell us, that we were being silly and it'll be over with in 3-4 years. It's just a passing fad. That was the real popular thing. Oh, it's just a passing fad. It'll be over with, in 4 or 5 years, whatever the predictions were. And they used to, do all kind of stuff. I'm sure y'all heard about these stories taking place up in like cities like New York and whatnot, but here in Pittsburgh, I remember in the 80s, man, we literally used to get chased off of corners by the police and were considered like a disruptive thing in communities, right? So anyway, all that grew. The popularity, of course, grew. And these record companies started making money, right? And then the popularity really blew up, and they started to realize, when I say they, once again, the nefarious, infamous they, and I'm talking about those socio-economic elite who were certainly paying attention, had negative plans in mind, right? They saw hip-hop budding into an art form or form of music that was growing not just from local or national popularity, but beginning to tip its toes into international popularity, right? And with that, what they saw was growing influence, right? They saw that hip-hop was really having an extremely powerful influence on the youth of the world, right? Particularly in this nation. So, always wanting to control, they knew they had to have control of hip-hop, right? Because it was becoming too powerful. Hip-hop, what they actually feared the influence that hip-hop had. Because if you take a look in the mid to late 80s, hip-hop really got super positive, right? It was dope. And what I mean by that is, we still spoke about the reality of what you saw on the street and whatnot, but people really tried to have some responsibility in their music, right? Even the quote-unquote gangster hip-hop that you heard back then that was just developing, but there was gangster hip-hop going all the way back, quote-unquote gangster hip-hop, right? All the way back to my man Ice-T and maybe even before. Traces of it, at least, we'll say. And then, of course, Cube and NWA and everybody came through, whatever. But you even then had, when there were stories of violence and so forth in the community and the music, it showed you not just some glorification of a violent lifestyle, but that, hey, this is the lifestyle we're trapped in, and it doesn't end well, right? There was still some positive twist to the message where, at least if we can't show you, you know, a rosy picture, at the end of this, we can warn you away from a negative lifestyle. Well, now, hip-hop has changed in that message delivery, right? Drastically. And that's because of the industry that attacked it, took it over, and completely corrupted it, right? Now, that's real paranoid and reckless of you to say, King Sadiq. Well, no, actually it's not. It's fact. Anybody who wants to go and check, look into that, the same folks who really put their hands around the quote-unquote hip-hop industry back in the late 80s and early 90s are the same folks who met and agreed that hip-hop would not only be taken over to be a form of music that would glorify, sell, target youth, and influence youth to be wrapped up in drugs, violence, emotionless sex, materialism, all these negative messages, right? Those same folks who got their stranglehold on hip-hop as an industry during that time period are the same folks who have invested millions in the private penal system. And agreed before investing in this that they would use their influence over the hip-hop industry to start having the music push messages that would steer youth right to those very same penitentiaries that they've invested in. If you don't think I'm telling the truth, do your own independent research on it and you'll be surprised what you find. The hip-hop industry was purposely attacked and purposefully corrupted in order for it to yield, something that is very toxic, very negatively influential over our youth, right? This was a purposeful thing designed to help fund and to help populate these private penitentiaries. Okay, something to think about. So yes, not only did they turn hip-hop into a very negative mechanism, but they also did so because they feared hip-hop, right? They feared the positive influence and power that hip-hop had to make a very strong and powerful, positive light that it could have brought to a lot of people, and was starting to do that, right? Remember the Stop the Violence movement, the self-destruction movement, right? All these songs with coalitions of artists. You even saw the same thing happening in R&B, right? Where with Michael Jackson and the We Are the World theme, and just there was a lot of positivity in music that, if you see now, is completely shifted. Even R&B, or what is called or referred to as R&B, is very different now, right? You know, the profanity level. There used to be almost no profanity in R&B. There really wasn't a huge washing of profanity in hip-hop, but really was almost none in R&B. And now you listen to some of the songs, and I'm not trying to censor anybody, but it's like, why do we really need that kind of energy in, you know, our music, right? So, hey, listen to what you want to listen to. Make your own minds up on this thing, but we should at least know the facts of the intentions of the folks who got their hands around the industry and the results that we've seen from those intentions thus far. All right. Let's stay alert, right? Let's stay impactful in our communities and our children's lives, right? We should have the most impact on our community and our children's lives, and in the music that we are putting out and the music that we are receiving. All right? Once again, it took a little bit longer than I thought, but yeah, I think that's important, you know, to realize, one, the power that hip-hop has and how it was really beginning to be a super positive, super powerful influence in the world, and was at that point attacked and corrupted by the quote-unquote music industry and turned into what it is today, right? But good news is, if we pay attention, there's a resurfacing, right? There's some artists that are starting to snatch back their integrity with independence and independent music growing. There are folks who are having their own version of a positive message, right? Yeah, I'm seeing growth along those levels. So, as with all things, that if we pay attention in this beautiful new paradigm shift, that's getting better as well. Everything's getting better, folks. You know why? Because it's worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq out.